Hello, Sarah Yip, the Numbers Queen. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I have been picking up my spray-free vegetables, including like the world's biggest strawberry, to feed myself, my baby bump, and my family. Thank you so much for waiting. So, wow, this is my first live chat regarding 1111. I have absolutely been avoiding this for about 6 years. You know, as an 11, I'm also a 2, and 2s are quite cautious. I guess that's probably why I have this affirmation I'm using at the moment, which is you can either please people or you can change the world. So let's just say I am still learning to get the hang of that. Anyway, let's get into it. So I have written this blog and it's called Why Do I See 1111 When I'm Not Master 11, 22 or 33 Life Path. I know it's so nerdy, isn't it? But if you're into numbers, this will hopefully maybe change your life. So I want to say thank you to Cindy on my Master 11 Life Path numerology page, who asked me why she was seeing 1111 for 12 years. Even though she's a 9 life path. And initially I just sent her a link and went, oh, you know, have a look at my site. And I really had to sit with that. And I really felt, wow, okay, I need to be deeper, because it's true. 1111 does appear to a lot of people who have master number life paths. That is the biggest reason perhaps that you might see those numbers. But there is a huge proportion of people who are equally important and amazing, who are seeing these codes. So I guess here's my take on it. And I just want to acknowledge there's a huge amount of information on the internet. A lot of it's very good. Some of it's a bit weird. I can only give my experiences, and all I can say is they are based on my life. They are based on the truth that I've experienced. They're also based on the stories I've heard from, I suppose it's about 2,500 people now. You know, just even on Facebook, and that's not including my Facebook people, I've had like 1,000 questions within about 3 years, which is one of the reasons I had to turn off the messaging on the Numbers Queen, this page. It was really getting a little bit hectic for me. I'm a very conscientious person. I was trying to answer every single one, and you know, I just had no energy, like, you know, to be myself, to even have a life. So I hope you understand. Ookily dokily. So let's start with the blog. Look, I'm going to actually be reading a lot of it, and then I will have some question time, and it's quite possible we'll go over past 11:11 today because I have started late. Okay, so let me start on this post. Okay, okie dokie. So, you know, we do change life paths every lifetime. I believe a life path is like a spiritual job description, something you really wanted to experience and heal this lifetime, but it does change. It's not forever, so don't get life path envy. I call anyone who sees 1111 frequently, and I mean frequently, we're talking about, you know, at least once a week or a few times a day, an 1111 seer. And it is a play on words, because, you know, they're seeing this miraculous phenomenon, but they're also someone who I believe has the ability to predict and create the future. I've literally got this fave quote at the moment, which is, you know, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I just feel like people who see 1111, the universe is saying you've got it. I mean, even when you look at the numbers 1111, you know, you've got these people standing up for themselves, for the community. If I could sum up 1111 in one word, it would be hope. You're still here. That means the planet still needs you. So stand up for yourself. Take action, because one, in my numerology system, all the numbers are chakras. You know, 1 is the root chakra. It's like your legs, your feet, it's your grounding. And it's just saying, you know, you come from the infinity and there are no limits to your spiritual growth. So reach for the sky. Okay, so why do people see 1111 when they aren't these supercharged sort of master number life paths? Well, just before I jump into that, I just want to mention, like, 1111 has literally stalked / haunted me since about 11/11/2011, which is when I had the most massivest breakup. I sort of going on one track, and clearly it wasn't very good for me. I mean, I was having heart palpitations for one thing, and I looked like a ghost if you saw the pictures of me. And sort of in this one fell swoop, I sort of left my career, my house, my partner, shacked up with my employee. I mean, it was pretty brutal. There's just no other way to put it. And I mean, it's true, 1111 often appears to people when they are going through that dark night of the soul. And it's like that light saying, keep going, we're here. You know, there may not be people around, there may not seem to be any positives in this, but you will grow from the experience. Okay. And look, I'm not going to read everything in the blog because you guys can do that yourself. I'm just going to pick pieces of it. But I very much believe, because I followed 1111, because I researched it, I talked about it, I celebrated it, I have received the most incredible opportunities. And I just want to say hello to everyone who is joining this conversation. I'm sorry I won't be able to acknowledge every single one of you, but thank you so much. Because of 1111, you know, I felt I could go forwards and start my psychic business, which has now allowed me to earn about $300,000 over the last several years, which I'll be blogging about soon. And that's coming from being a total skeptic, scientist completely against psychics. That's why I say be careful what you judge. 1111 helped me to meet my soulmate and husband, Chris. I took that leap into palmistry. I met him on television, which by the way is in my interviews page, on television, reading his hand. I was talking about relationship palmistry. I needed a guinea pig. He was the guinea pig. And, you know, we're married now. So he sees 1111, I see 1111. As I'll be discussing, it's often a sign you're about to make some major shifts in your life in the next 5 to 9 years. Often you will be meeting a lot of soulmates and perhaps even your twin flame, which is this quite powerful term I don't quite understand, but I will get to that. And I even have an 1111 baby, like quite seriously. I have a little baby called Forrest, and his name does add to 11. I did that. I went into labour just after 11:11 p.m. We went to hospital in a mad frenzy, couldn't find a car park. I was quietly swearing in the back, and we walked in the door. My watch said 11:10, Chris's watch said 11:12, so we called it 11:11. And we went in, and the midwife's like, yeah, I see 11:11. Let's just say Forrest is a very unusual child. In my last numerology class, he's literally sitting there, and this is a 16-month-old baby, sitting there, and he's typing 11 into the calculator. I don't know what to say. So all I can say is for me, 1111, energy is extremely positive, but I've also chosen to use it and see it that way, and not everyone does. I guess that's why I feel so passionate about blogging and why I'm getting into these video chats. I feel like there is some seriously mixed information out there, and it does worry me sometimes. For example, I get a lot of, I guess, like Christians writing to me saying, I see this, does it mean I'm possessed? And I'm like, wow, I've so been there. I mean, I was extremely religious. My boyfriend used to pray after we kissed when I was 18. That was pretty intense. I've been on both sides. And all I can say is, no, you're not evil. You're just alive and you're just aware. So let's go back to the blog. So I very much believe we live in a kind universe. My background is gardening, agriculture, and environmental science. So I believe when you go with the universe goes with you. When you're seeing 1111, it's literally like, we're here for you. What do you want? You know, let's do this together. Here's a helping hand. Just reach out. I just find the more you celebrate this energy, the more it comes to party with you. And all I can say, if you don't believe me, is, you know, bring up 1111 in a conversation, post it on your Facebook. You meet the most remarkable people. Remarkable. I did a Mind, Body, Spirit talk in Brisbane. It's interesting, Brisbane's quite a spiritual hub. You know, I didn't realize that. I was born in Sydney, which is an 11th city, and that's the world global city in Australia, but Brisbane, it's the place now. Everyone is moving to this place. So anyway, I did this talk, and it was basically titled 1111, and I had like 93 people in the room. And it was amazing. It was like a family reunion. Like, people just realized they knew each other, not just because it's Brisbane and it's small, but they're often in the same industry, lived on the same street, had similar lives, and it was just beautiful. So, like, literally use 1111 to call your tribe in, especially if you're feeling lonely. You're not alone. There's just space between us. Okay, so I really need to make this point before I go into the rest of this blog. And this point is about intuition versus superstition. This is pretty much why I blog. It really drives me nuts when people spread lies and myths about others, including psychics, including anyone really. I mean, I'm very passionate about justice. I have a huge background. I've been doing fundraising since I was 10. And I just see people really stuck in their fear, and other people actively promoting that fear because it's a way of controlling others and taking power from them. I just find that abhorrent. So intuition versus superstition. What's the difference? All right, well, for me, it's felt. It's a felt difference. So intuition feels really relaxing. You know, it's a really joyful experience when you receive intuitive information. It's soft. You know, it means your third eye, your mind, it's open. There's this Asian saying, a closed mind is like a closed book. It's just a lump of wood. So, you know, when they talk about the third eye, it's very much about understanding there's so much we don't know and being curious about that. An intuitive knowing is a repetitive message you keep getting. It's usually reassuring. It often is very simplistic. The words are very like almost childlike, like you'll be okay, just keep going, don't worry so much. Intuitive people, intuitive advice, it doesn't threaten you. When people give predictions that are terrifying, that's very much coming from their ego and imagination. I write a lot about that on my blog. It's a sign of I suppose not a mature psychic. Like, they might be skilled and accurate, they can tell you what color your car is, but they're not particularly helpful. Remember, intuitive knowledge, it leaves you feeling better, more energized, more ready for action in your life. So when you look at 1111 from an intuitive perspective, it will always have multiple meanings. This is probably the biggest challenge I face talking about 1111. I mean, it's just a language the universe is using. It's just a knock on the door. It's just a call on your phone, and it's like, you know, it's like the universe saying hello. They could be saying hello, hello, hello. There's so many meanings to it, and that's why there's no one definition. All I can say is it's a call. It's a wake-up call. So each time you're seeing these codes, you need to really stop and just sit with, what was I just processing? What was I putting out into the universe? That's how you become strong. That's how you become confident. That's how you become an 1111 seer who opens the door for others. And as I mentioned, I'm an 11 life path. It doesn't make me better, it just makes me a little crazy. And I do have a lot of karmic debt I'm working off, again, which I blog about. So when you look at 11, you know, it could just be this person who's like a doormat. You sort of let people use you, walk all over you, in the hope that will somehow serve them or get them somewhere. And there are times I basically have done that. I mean, it's good to do the dirty work. It's good to be the follower. Otherwise, you'll never be a compassionate leader. But 11 energy is also about create opportunity, create pathways where there were none before. And there is a quote I read recently. Some women go through the door and they shut it behind them. other women go through the door, and they hold it open for the woman after them, and they pull that woman through. And it's not just about women, you know, this is about people. This is what 1111 is. So, you know, I saw 1111 after someone mentioned it to me. It just raised my frequency. The biggest thing I could request from you is please do the same thing. You may or may not actually, you know, share my information, but just talking about it is like a reminder to people of what they truly are, which is just this pure light and pure potential. Okay, let's keep going. So the other thing about intuition, look, it's very much like having a working set of headlights. It allows you to see slightly further ahead, helps you to feel safe. People come to me for readings and say, don't tell me anything bad. And I mean, that it's a quite limiting thing to put on a psychic, but essentially a good psychic wouldn't do that anyway. They'd phrase it in a productive way. But, you know, wouldn't you rather know that there is a kangaroo on the road so you can avoid it and it's win-win? I mean, to me, it's just responsible to do a little bit of self-analysis and to develop your intuition for those times when we need to, you know, carry ourselves through the dark, carry others through the dark. And I suppose that's why when you see a psychic, it's like turning on high beam headlights. They can see a little further, but it does use a huge amount of energy. And as someone who does this pretty much 24/7, I can tell you it takes a lot. Like, it's something I live and breathe. All right, let's keep going. So just understand signs like 1111, they're kind of like little breadcrumbs from the universe. And just as, you know, we can let toast go cold and then we have to throw it out, the information Spirit sends us, it can expire. So it is really important to write down what happens to you, take photos. That's one of the reasons I have the Numbers Queen, because I was diarizing the 1111s I was seeing. Yeah, and just sort of convince yourself through that evidence that you're not going crazy. Have a way of collecting the information. Now let's briefly talk about superstition before we get further into it. So, wow, there's a lot of superstition on the planet still. It's incredible, isn't it? So it feels limiting. When you're having a belief that comes from fear, it feels limiting. It could look like a positive affirmation. It could sound like really good advice, but you feel smaller. You want to sit on the couch, you know, you talk yourself out of your ideas, and it suggests that your third eye has closed. You're no longer seeing yourself as a powerful being. So superstitious stories, especially those spread by the media or even some new age people, it causes tension and panic. Essentially, you look for a shortcut, a quick fix, someone to save or rescue you. That's actually the intention of people who spread superstitious myths. And I'm talking about like even small stuff like the number 13 being unlucky, which is completely untrue. 666 being evil, which is actually the sign of an open third eye in the goddess. Black cats being unlucky, breaking mirrors. I mean, those are all small but poisonous beliefs that make us think the world is against us. So if you are seeing 1111, just understand part of the process of living this energy is weeding out superstition. Until you weed out those, I suppose, limiting and old beliefs, which are often from other lifetimes. You know, it's like you're driving the car, you've got the headlights on, but your windscreen is broken or it's covered in Vaseline. You know, you're still going to get really mixed results and not feel confident going forwards. I suppose this is why people can do psychic development or manifestation and it still doesn't seem to produce results or give them peace. All it means is you just need to keep cleaning the house. You know, some people obsessively clean their kitchen, but they ignore the bathroom, which, you know, I've written about actually is to do with their true emotions. And, you know, you need to clean up your left and your right brain to really live 1111 energy. Okay, let's keep going. So all I can say is someone who for me represents 1111 truth is willing to be questioned. These are the people who are fairly open about their pros and cons. When you look at the 11, you know, it's actually like an equal sign, and they're very aware that they are still working on themselves in many areas. Let me give you an example. Oh boy, I hear this so much. This is my last incarnation. I'm going to make sure I never have to come back. Oh, you know, it's been such a struggle. Yeah, like I do life purpose readings for a living. I mean, I see when there are souls who are pretty much ready to jet off, and you know, they probably won't come back to Earth for a long time, if ever. You know, there's other places they want to play. I've heard there's even a planet you can be a tree, which sounds fairly relaxing. But for me, like I've pretty much been told, I've got more lives here. I've got more children lined up upstairs, which I can have, you know, this lifetime or maybe future lifetimes. I don't see my goal as just trying to exit the planet as quickly as possible. I mean, there's still a lot of souls coming in. Look at the babies arriving. They're so special. You know, they're coming in with life paths that are so different. Like my life path is a 29. At 29, I was just finding myself turned psychic, picked up numerology, but some of these children are coming in with like 5 or 6 life paths. Like they know their purpose by 5 or 6. You know, they're coming in ready-made. And I feel very strongly that some of us need to stay and help them. And when you look at 11s, sorry, I know it's a bit slanting, but it's like these trees protecting each other. When I was learning agriculture and farming, you know, one tree by itself, it just suffers. You know, the winds are too strong, it gets pushed over really easily. But with 1111, there's this safety in numbers. And a lot of people who see 1111 find they do end up quite rapidly starting or joining groups, often activist groups, grassroots groups, to basically change the world economy. You know, a lot of us are running our own businesses, running our own lives, self-educating because we understand that there's just a lot of corruption around. Now let's get into it. 2222 seems like a good time. So here are my exact thoughts on why you might see 1111 if you are not a Master 11, 22 or 33 life path. So number 1 is your intuition is opening up. And the best way I can explain it is imagine, hello all new people, it's so nice to see you. You know, imagine you were like an astronaut and you know, initially you're on Earth and everything just looks so messy and polluted and people are fighting and there's just so much pain. And you can't see the order. Well, imagine that as you lift your vibration, you go up into space, it just gets prettier and prettier. And finally you can just see everything is so perfectly organized and placed. So when you start seeing 1111, it's saying you're at a vibrational point where you're just ready to remember that everything is a choice. You have chosen your date of birth, your family, your name. I write about all of this on my blog. Your families, your countries. For example, as an 11, I generally just have been placed in situations where there's a lot of darkness so that I can find myself. As they say, stars shine in the night. So the first reason you're seeing 1111 is you're ready to know who and what you truly are, and please do the research, follow the breadcrumbs to the bakery, become the baker, create your life. Okay, the next reason is you could carry master numbers somewhere else. So, I mean, it's kind of like astrology. You can have, you know, a sun sign, but a different moon sign. You could have 11, 22, 33 somewhere else. Your life path's only 50% of your forecast in my system. Could be in your name, your pinnacles, maturity number. So this is something you can learn how to do. I teach it. Also, you can look online with books. And just anywhere you see those master numbers is where you want double evolution. So it's important to know you signed up for that. So you stop comparing yourself with others. Okay, the next reason you could be seeing 1111 is you're potentially a starseed. So you look, some people say we're all starseeds. in that we've all come from another place to Earth. But the way I sort of see star people or starseeds is they souls who've had more recent or frequent lives in other dimensions. And I'll be honest, I didn't even believe in this stuff for a long time till I met my friend Dinasa Khan, my crystal healer, and a few other people. But I'm pretty convinced now. I've done a lot of regressions and work on myself. So, you know, I mean, even the day that someone said, or the week someone said, oh, you're a star person, Sarah, I was like, whatever. I got into my car and the stereo turned itself on without me touching it, and it played this song, You're the Star. So, you just sort of get told. Anyway, so as a star person, there's a huge sensitivity that comes with that. Many websites talk about this. I mean, I personally, I've got incredible hearing. And in fact, the more I did psychic work and saw 1111, it got completely overwhelming. I mean, I was not able to cope with even going outside my home. I could hear bugs crawling on the floor. And, you know, some people say it's a sign of madness, but I think at a really, really deep level, I just knew it was a good thing. And so all I can say is once your psychic abilities open up, which they are doing if you're seeing 1111, it can be pretty extreme. Definitely reach out for help to people who have gone through it recently. I was really, really fortunate. I had a bunch of people, including one of my mentors, Caroline Bird, and they sort of had been there, done that 20 years before, which we talked about in podcast, which is on my site. And it just really helped me to keep going. Instead of perhaps, you know, I guess I'm putting myself on some pretty serious drugs and switching it off essentially. And it's not that I'm against drug treatment, but I just know for me, it probably would have completely backfired. There's a real history in my family of reactions, quite strong reactions to things like that. Okay, so yeah, as a starseed person, definitely you want to look into that if you're the type of, I guess like me in a way, you know, softly spoken, very sensitive, often felt like you were somewhere else, loved to look at the stars, loved shiny things. I have a saying, when in doubt, add glitter, add stardust. Star people, interesting. Need a lot of independence in relationships. Probably something I should talk about in another post. Okay, other reasons you could be seeing 1111. You're probably at an important personal year turning point. So every 9 years we work our way through the different numbers 1 to 9 and chakras. For example, almost exactly 9 years ago I did my first solo belly dancing concert, and here I am doing my first, I guess, video, letting all hang out really. So that information is on my site on the Find Your Life Path page, and a lot of people see 1111 when they're going through, for example, a personal 1 year or 9 year. And everything just accelerates. You know, they feel like, wow, I have to change everything in my life. And it's interesting. I say you should use numerology as a second opinion, not a first. Like, don't choose your partner based on their numbers, but use them to support your decision. I think, you know, a really nice journey would be if someone saw 1111, 111 repeating number sequences and discovered, for example, that they were in a 1 year, and then felt that courage to start a business or move country. That's like what I say, a healthy use of their intuition. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did in my number 1 year without even knowing numerology. Okay, last few reasons. People who see 1111, they're switchers. I don't know whether you call us secret agents, maybe. All I can say is numbers speak to a certain type of person, a person who often has a corporate background, logical, financial, scientific. I have an honours degree in science myself. I love chemistry, which I suppose is all numbers as well. You know, a lot of these people, they have been trained to doubt spiritual phenomena and to suppress their inner voice and feelings. And that is okay, you know, maybe for the first 25, 30 years of their life, but there's just this hollowness that you just live with, and you just know that's not why you came here. That can't be the only reason. And often you get hit in the face when, you know, you try to have kids or sustain a relationship because there isn't that emotional abundance. There isn't that love of life, which completely turns up, affects your love life. So a lot of people see 1111 and they feel that need to switch careers, switch lifestyles. A lot of them go organic. Essentially, they go free range in their lives. I was one of those people. I really wanted and needed to be normal, I guess, so that perhaps when I became a psychic, I could help bring people over with a very strong authenticity and credibility. So just understand, a lot of you will be those kind of human, how do I explain, light bulbs, where you will shock people with some of the decisions you make once you start seeing the prompts. Skeptics tend to believe in numbers, and I think that's why those among us who consider ourselves quite rational, that's what it takes for us to open up. And 1111 adds to 4, the number of the heart, and I think a lot of us switch, like I said, from this sort of heart hollow lives to very heartful lives. Okay, last few ones. There's a fair amount of info on this online, but like I mentioned before, you meet your tribe in the sky. The best way I can say it is as you fly, you meet the other eagles. So all I can say is as you follow the 1111 information and you really look into things like numerology, meditation, metaphysics, you'll often find, this flood of incredible people come into your life. And it's not always pleasant. Like, I had quite a few can opener relationships after my big breakup on 11/11/11. And interestingly, that one of the biggest can openers was a fellow 2911 who introduced me to some therapies I still use to today. And a can opener is someone or something that prepares you for what comes next. It's kind of like the one before the one. But as I mentioned, I'm definitely now with my soulmate, and I believe he's my twin flame. And we always see 1111 together. Sometimes we see 1110. I guess because I'm an 11 and he's a 10, makes sense. We have a little 9 Lifepath baby, and we always see 909. So it just makes us feel, I guess, really good, and keeps reminding us that we're meant to be together. Okay, you could also be seeing number sequences because you have people with master numbers around you who may or may not be available or open to that information. For example, maybe your husband is an 11 or 22 or 33 who's really struggling. And I hear that a lot about the 33s. They're in their own ways, they're quite proud. Oh, just seeing it's 1111. That's pretty cool. Hang on, I just need to tune in. Yep, feels good. Feels good. Still alive, still here, still hope. So I meet a lot of people who are married or with 33s, and they're just such powerful people. And I think sometimes they keep a lot inside, and that is a type of suffering. And the 3 is about expressing and letting it out. So you might be seeing 1111, 111, 222, 333 because someone around you actually needs help, which is quite interesting. And that's why it's nice to do some basic numerology. You can do that on my site, find your Lifepath page, and just have a look around you, because literally you could be a 4 or a 9 but surrounded by 11s, and then it's like you're kind of the messenger. It's like the universe knocks and you open because the other people are, I don't know, a bit afraid of confrontation. So be proud of yourself. You're awesome. You're useful. You're amazing. And there's probably other reasons you're seeing 1111. Like, I definitely see it when I need past life healing, which is something I've been working on just this week. All I can say is the numbers do come and go, and that is healthy and normal. Otherwise, it'd be like someone screaming at you for 10 hours at a time. It'd be like you're really ignoring some kind of suffering in your life. It's pretty normal to see it for a few weeks, and then maybe you take some kind of big action, and then it sort of disappears. So sort of welcome that. I can also say that 1111s and numbers appear more to people during things like Mercury retrograde, when the veil between worlds is very thin, during solar flares, and there's probably some other instances. Okay, so just starting to wind up. Look, this article I've written and talked about is a rewrite of a 2015 post, but I do hope you've enjoyed it. I guess speaking at live's a bit harrowing for me, but probably bring something different to it. All I can say is if you're seeing numbers, go deep, go inside. Don't just dismiss it as like, oh, it's an angel code or yay. I mean, that's nice, but we have come here to evolve ourselves in the world. So, open the door. Don't just look at how pretty it is, please, for all our sakes, because otherwise, like, I don't know, it's just, we're here to leave the world a sort of cleaner, brighter place. That's my belief. So you are an ambassador if you're seeing these numbers. You are someone who has the potential to be a great leader of consciousness. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. The universe believes in you, and that's why it's showing you these signs. It doesn't mean other people are not special. It just means that you're ready. So keep asking those questions. Keep overturning superstitions and expectations. Go higher. Don't lower yourself to that of your critics. Go higher. Raise the roof with your truth. Okay, well, I'm just going to start winding up my bit, and I'm going to do some questions and answers. It's been quite a long chat, but I just want to say thank you for the people who've been hanging in there. And yeah, let's look at some of your questions now. Hang on. Okay, what have we got? This is where we find out my technological skills are not quite as profound as my numerology ones. So it's all scrolling. All right, look, all I can say is there does seem to be a lot of master number people on this chat, which is awesome. And yeah, like you are my target market. At this point, 33% of my waiting list are 33s, and I get stalked by 11s wherever I go. And I've written really heavily on what it is to be a master number and how much we actually need extra support. Like, it's like being a superhero. It's like having a racing car. You actually need a better team, a bigger team, better nutrition. So I've written about that a lot. I don't want to take over this call with that information, if that's okay. Okay, what else am I seeing? Some people are talking about codes. Okay, so I've got, for example, someone who says 911. When I see that in a chart, that's part of the global healers. I find a lot of them work in hospitals, medical professions, and it's interesting how I'm pretty sure in America that's your emergency number, isn't it? Sorry, I'm in Australia. I live in a bit of a bubble. Personally, I sort of shelter myself from a lot of media. What else? Is 44 considered a master number? Not traditionally, but in my system, yes. I'm actually reading for 44 soon with my husband. We just started joint readings. Yeah, I think so. Look, you can get really caught up in, am I a master number? Like I write in my blogs, there's 3 ways of calculating master numbers. You can imagine that leaves lots of people who think they're master numbers, lots of people who say they're not. I mean, really, if you feel you are one, you are one, because we all have a choice. Remember, it's a job description. Maybe you come to Earth and you supersize when you get here. All I can say is you can evolve your numbers. To me, 44 is a master number. It's at least a double number, which is double heart healing. Okay, what else? I'm getting other people. Yep, thanks, Alexis, about confirming 911. Yep, what else? Why do people... Yep. If you see 1111, just expect to be popular. I don't know how to explain this. It's something I feel kind of uncomfortable with. But being a 6 foot tall Asian person with a very Aussie accent, I've kind of had that my whole life. Once people start realizing how clear you are, yeah, you'll never go out of business. I mean, like I said, I've got this blog coming up on being a psychic. It is a job for life, and it's a privilege for life. But yeah, a lot of people who see 1111, I mean, they really are overwhelmingly in their place of passion. Like, for example, I've written about Ellen DeGeneres. Her record company is called 1111, and look at her. She's like this sort of human dancing machine of life and passion. A lot of 1111ers, they're in music, the new age industry, all these ones where you really have to love it or you just burn out. Okay, so what else is there? I've got a few other people asking specific questions about their life paths. just go to my Find Your Life Path page at sarayip.com. I'm not trying to fob you off, it's just that I've got like 200 articles there, and it's probably just a better use of your life and my life. I'm going to sign off shortly. Are there any last questions? I'll just give you guys a minute. Okay, well that looks like it. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again soon. It's really been a privilege. And just remember, you know, life is short. Eat organic strawberries. Look, this one even looks like it's got little legs like an 11. So when you see 1111, just remember life is juicy and waiting for you. So don't delay. And seriously, the word fruit adds to 11, and so does the word cake. So you can have your fruit cake and eat it. All right. This is Sarayip, the Numbers Queen. I look forward to seeing you again sometime, and thank you for all your support. Take care. Bye-bye.